So now we're going to go ahead and set up a tile palette with a tile map that lets us draw this out a lot easier. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to top menu, go to window, 2D, tile palette. This brings up a new menu, and I'm actually going to go ahead and dock this to the UI so we can use it. So I'm going to click and drag the tab that's there and drag it in right next to my asset folder. So I have the tile palette down here because we're going to be using this a lot. It's a lot easier if we just have access to it right down here. Here you should see a menu, a row of buttons, different things you can do, and then a little drop down that says create new tile map. Go ahead and create a new rectangular tile map. This will create a new object in your hierarchy grid with tile map there. So I'm going to go ahead and increase the size of this window right here. And I'm going to go into my folder and grab the tile set that shows up here. I'll drag this into this box that's there and place it. It's going to ask where I want to save this. I want to go ahead and go to assets, right click, new folder. And I'll call this tile set. Put that there, open that up, and I'm going to save inside of that folder. I'm going to go to tile set here. It generated a bunch of different assets that we can work with. We kind of just want to shove this to the side. We don't have to worry too much about it yet, so putting it in its own folder works. Now, what that lets us do is in our grid object, we have this grid component, which we can leave alone. But then our tile map, we have this tile map and tile map renderer. With tile map selected, if I hover over one of these grids, it shows part of the artwork that I can then click and it places it. That's pretty cool. And I have this option to erase, so I'm going to go ahead and erase those. Because I can see that they don't quite size up right. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here so we can see what we're working with. Now the size isn't quite right, so we're going to have to make some adjustments. I'm going to go back to where my tile set came from to find that original artwork. I'm going to change the pixels per unit to 16, then click apply. That increased the size of the artwork that shows up there. Now my tile map is bigger, where each one of these grids cells is the size of one of my pictures. So it makes things a lot easier. I'm going to go ahead and grab these tile sets that are here in my hierarchy and delete those. We don't actually want those. We want to keep working in tile map. So this tile map is there's a palette here that I can select a cell and then paint with it. So I'm going to select this cell right here and I'm going to create some ground. I'll select this one over here on the left and I'm going to put an edge down over here too. And I'll put these down where we have some kind of rocky edges. And I'll fill in the middle with this dark color. So I now have a platform. Just one platform. You would have to go in and draw in the rest of the stuff and then select which cells or which piece of artwork you want to work with. But for relatively little effort, most of the work's done for us. At least to make this. We don't have to worry about lining anything up. It just happens for us. So I'm going to go ahead and press play and see what happens. Well, I fall straight through. That's because our tile map doesn't have a collider on it. So we have to do a special kind of collider here. I'm going to go with my tile map selected, add component, and I'm going to add in a tile map collider 2D. Then I'm going to add a component for composite collider 2D that automatically put in a rigid body 2D for us. So for the rigid body, right away, I'm going to set the body type to static. I don't want this to actually move. We do have to have physics on for this to work, but We don't want it to move at all. We just want it to remain static. And you should see that now there is a collider on the outside. A little hard to see, but it is there. Now, what this does is the Tilemap collider 2D, this sets our object to have colliders on the Tilemap. If I move over though, I can see that I have collider lines all the way throughout. Each one of these boxes has its own collider, and that just seems wasteful. We get access to this composite collider where we can set this up where it will composite all of the colliders into one. So it turns all of the objects in this scene into one collider. Now, with the Tilemap collider, the composite operation, we want to set this to merge. This merges all of the colliders for everything in this Tilemap into one. I'm going to go ahead and move over. I can see that the collider lines are gone from in between all the cells. I just have the collider on the outside. And that should work. So if I press play now, our character falls and lands on the platform. Great. Character doesn't do anything, can't move, and I only have one platform, but it's a start. And for now, I'm actually going to go ahead and leave it at that. Just go ahead and create one platform to work with. We don't want to overcomplicate things. We'll add in the rest of it a little bit later. In fact, I'll show you a way where we can actually automate a lot of this process for us. One last thing I want to do, when I'm playing the game, I have this big blue background. I don't really like that. I don't want that. I'm going to select my main camera, environment, background. I'm going to set this to a dark gray. Press play, and then the background will be dark gray. I like this a little bit better to work with. Personally, I find the blue a little garish, but you can leave it at something else if you want to. We're going to be replacing it anyways in a little while. So, all right, that's it for this one. Thanks.